What's going on, everybody? My name is Justin Godsey TV. Thank you so much for checking out tonight's video. Tonight, guys, we're here talking about San Diego Chargers center Nick Hardwick, as after 11 years in the National Football League has decided to retire. And this has been something that, to a lot of people, it's not, new news, because we all knew at some point with the injury track record of Nick Hardwick, it would just be a matter of time until he officially hangs it up. And after the 2015 year, he decided to do that. This is the right decision for Nick Hardwick. Now, in his NFL career, he's been injured, a multiple amount of times. Mainly it was just around his leg injuries, his ankle injuries. That was all his early day stuff. Most recently, it has been all about his neck. 2015, he only played a short amount of time. He was placed on injured reserve after just one game, ending his season with a neck injury, and then today he finally hangs it up. Now San Diego does have a completely rebuilding process. They have been on this rebuilding process of their offensive line over the past course of the past 3 seasons, where the offensive line has not been the most productive position in all of in that entire offense. So now that Nick Hardwick is out of the picture, the San Diego Chargers now can look forward to drafting a brand new center that can lead that team into the promised land, being their full-time center, going into the 2015 year and going beyond 2015. And San Diego, as much as they do have a ton of respect over for Nick Hardwick, it's going to be a hard process to really, trying to refill the shoes of Nick Hardwick, because he was he's done a whole lot for this team. He was a Pro Bowler in 2006. He was on the Chargers 50th anniversary team. He has made a huge impact for that team. Even though that Phillip Rivers, prior to having a great, come back to earth, development of his career, the past 2 years, the 2 seasons prior to that, where you throw 40 interceptions in 2 seasons, Phillip Rivers was getting sacked, a tremendous amount of time, but Nick Hardwick was still was his primary center. It was the other positions around him that was just not at 100%. They had before DJ Fluker was there, they were bouncing around from lineman to lineman, and nothing was going good. Jeremy Clary could be the next guy out in San Diego. He has just been, falling off, completely, kind of like how Nick Hardwick was, in his last years with San Diego. So San Diego is now have a lot of homework to do this offseason with, going into the draft. This is going to be an excellent draft for San Diego to do that. And, now it really brings up the question. A lot of people have been, mentioning that San Diego should continue to build on their offensive guard position, potentially, going with an offensive guard in the first round. But what is being rumored right now is that DJ Fluker could potentially end up going to, tackle, and then they can just find another tackle there. But, now with the the subtraction of Nick Hardwick, San Diego now has to rethink things and go into the center class and look at what are their options over at center. Now, I've mentioned a couple of guys that have that can make a big fit for the San Diego Chargers, but you're going to end up looking into maybe the 3rd or 4th round. Andy Galick from Boston College, he's a redshirt senior, 299, 6'2", kind of looks like, and he kind of like builds around Nick Hardwick. He's has long hands, he's close to 300 pounds. He's a little bit huskier. I think that he can be a big big acquirement to that team. Another guy out of Kansas State is B.J. Finney, a redshirt senior, 324 pounds, much bigger than Andy Galick. So those are the big 2 options for San Diego. But San Diego's biggest question, or the biggest needs right now, is building the guys on the outside of the center, and that's offensive guard and offensive tackle. So there's still a lot of good names in the center market, but you're gonna have to look at that within the next within the the 3rd to 4th round range. Now, when it pertains to the other positions, we all know how that will be. I'll be releasing my first ever NFL mock draft. I've never done that on any of my YouTube accounts I've done in the past. I'm going to be releasing my first ever one for the 2015 draft, hopefully by next week, just to give you guys a 1.0 mock draft. I usually like to do these, after the Super Bowl is completely ended, and we're starting to get into, the whole NFL draft era, where all these, NFL shows and, Pro Football Talk and everything like that is doing their draft coverage. So I really like to do that around there. But needless to say, Nick Hardwick is going to be missed tremendously. Phillip Rivers, when Nick Hardwick decided to go on injury reserve, or they put him on injury reserve after the Cardinals game in Week 1, Phillip Rivers had a really emotional, hard time with it. Because he and Nick Hardwick have been they've been teammates for years now. When Phillip Rivers first came into the league, Nick Hardwick was his center. When San Diego decided to go with Phillip Rivers over Drew Brees, Nick Hardwick was his center. And now that you're not going to have Nick Hardwick, for the next few years, I know Phillip Rivers probably has, 5 to 6 years of football left in him. He's not going to have Nick Hardwick there anymore. So it's going to be a very, hard time for San Diego. It could take, a couple of years until San Diego finally finds their legitimate center. We just do not know right now. But you know what? The San Diego Chargers do need to find, a replacement center for Nick Hardwick. Now, they did go with Rich Ohrnberger last year for a small period of time, and a bunch of other centers. It was just a complete, and they also have, Chris Watt, I think, was one of our draft picks out of Notre Dame last year. We've just been bouncing around from center to center, and I think the 2015 draft is going to be a draft where San Diego could look, building around other positions first, but can still find a lot of success, maybe around the 3rd or 4th round, like I said, with Andy Galick or BJ Finney, if those guys are still available at that time, but San Diego still has a lot of, they still have a lot of open areas on this team that really needs a lot of depth, which is a number 2 wide receiver. I mean, Keenan Allen's good, Malcolm Floyd's getting to the, near the end of his career, but they really need somebody to step up, and getting another wide receiver is going to be big for San Diego. They also need, like I said, need depth on the offensive line. They need another safety. Marcus Gilchrist is not working out as well. So, all likely Jaleel Dye will be moved up to starting a strong safety, get a backup strong safety for Jaleel Dye. So, with all this being said, it's a big project for San Diego going into the 2015 offseason, going into the 2015 draft free agency. It's just going to be a very exciting time to see what's the process for San Diego. Are they going to be looking for a center in the first round? Are they going to look at other options in the first round? Who are they thinking about getting in the first round is that big question. So let me hear your guys' opinion about this. Leave your favorite moments of Nick Hardwick down below in the comment section. I am very likely to hear all those because I will respond to a lot of your guys' comments below, because Nick Hardwick, my all-time favorite center, me being a big fan of the San Diego Chargers, not trying to be a homer or anything, but this is a kind of a hard time for me because I really do like Nick Hardwick, and it really does to see him walk away from a game. But you got to take care of your body's health rather than your football career, because it's health over career any day of the week when it pertains to these NFL athletes. So my name is Justin Godsey. Make sure you guys leave your comments down below, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.